With Congress back in session, Republicans and Democrats are coming together to debate a final stimulus package. So now that package may include the possibility of another round of direct payments to Americans and some more aid for the states. And stuff that's also on the table are things like increasing testing funding for testing and tracing and things like that. Another hot button issue is the fact that the $600 additional federal employment benefit will run out at the end of the month. In fact, some of the last payments will go out this week. So that's going to put a lot of struggling Americans into financial jeopardy. Democrats are asking Senate Republicans to extend the $600 benefit, but they're being met with a counterproposal that kind of sucks. So now Common Dreams is reporting, based on another report from CNBC, that Republicans are considering a proposal to cut the $600 a week benefit to $100. Oh, great. Now, the Republican proposal would pay out the $100 per week boost through the end of the year. So what you're going to get is a $400 benefit per month, which is a $2,000 benefit cut. So that is a lot of money. That is a lot of money that has been cut out. So, look, I think that's irresponsible at a time where people are struggling to pay rent. Over 40 million people have lost their jobs, their healthcare, their financial security. And so I think that's really bad for the economy because people are not going to have the money to be able to meet their financial obligations. Because understand, $2,400 in addition to the weekly benefit, depending on the states, could be $200, $300. It's still not all that much. It's not enough. For example, you have 40% of Americans pre-pandemic, right, that couldn't afford a $400 emergency. You had 60% of Americans that couldn't afford a $1,000 emergency. There's just no savings. And nowhere in America could somebody working full-time, making minimum wage, actually be able to afford rent. Housing prices are out of control. Jimmy McMillan, the rent is too damn high. And so there is that issue. You remove that support without those jobs being back. And I know the Republican position, Lindsey Graham, I believe, said this, said, well, I want to help people, but I think we shouldn't be paying more people, people more to stay home than they would working at their job. Well, there's a way around that. Make sure people who are working full-time get paid more. Make a living wage. And the reason that we call it a living wage is that it's basically the amount that you need to be able to survive without government assistance. Isn't that a goal that we should all aspire to have people who work full-time be able to live without government help? I mean, that's what I want. I want to make sure that people who work full-time get paid fairly, get paid enough to survive. But again, people don't quite understand that. And especially at a time, of course, where you have 40 million people out of work and a lot of jobs that haven't come back, a lot of industries that have been destroyed due to the pandemic and the lockdown efforts that are not going to come back after this. Cutting that $600 benefit per week is just an absolute disaster for everyone involved. Not good at all. Not good. And so, of course, this has led to a lot of criticism from Democrats. Representative Don Beyer from Virginia said that the $100 per week proposal shows that Senate Republicans are just wildly out of touch with reality. Here's his quote, and I love this because it's actually kind of strong. Seriously, just $400 a month? Cutting monthly income for 30 million families by $2,000 would cost the country millions of jobs. This wouldn't just be horrible governance, it would show contempt for the American people. 100%. They're telling you, I don't care if you can't afford the bills. That's your problem, not my problem. Here, take this $100 and just fuck off. Economic Policy Institute Research Director Josh Bivens actually threw some facts out. about jobs. Because again, if you do care about jobs, when you want to make sure to put money in the pockets of regular people to spend it to continue keeping those jobs, right? So now he said that reducing that unemployment benefit from 600 to 100 during this pandemic would cost the U.S. more than 4 million jobs over the next year. He said it is both cruel and stupid. But it gets worse. We're also facing a housing crisis. Now, it's explained by Common Dreams that expiration of the supercharged unemployment benefits is also set to coincide with the end of the eviction moratorium, shielding more than 12 million people who live in homes with federally backed mortgages. So again, that's a big disaster. It looks like if we don't do something, we're going to have some economic devastation. And yet, at the same time, Republicans say, cut benefits. Great. So now here's where I go over to the Democrats, because Democrats also on this issue kind of suck. Politico reported late on Wednesday that many rank and file Democrats said that they are open to compromise on the extra $600 per week, saying that they would be open to less money as long as there is no lapse in benefits. Well, there you go. That's how Democrats lose. You want to be the party that abandons the American people during the time of crisis and says, don't worry, we're going to let the Republicans cut your benefits. But at least you'll get them on time. Okay, but you get a little bit of money on time and you still can't afford your bills. Well, what good have you done? Not a lot. No, here's what Democrats should do. Demand a $2,000 a month UBI and a rent freeze. And if they refuse, threaten to take it to the American people and say, hey, these are the guys that don't want you to have any money. Look, UBI is pretty popular with the public, right? And so it would be the smart thing to do to publicize the crap out of it, that's your policy. That's what you want to do. I know there are some in the Democratic Party that are saying, absolutely, look, you've got Ro Khanna teaming up with Tim Ryan, who's generally a moderate Democrat, saying, no, let's do $2,000 a month. Let's do a UBI. Why are we not doing a UBI? Come on. And so this is not something that should be that shouldn't be embraced by the rest of the Democratic Party. But no, instead they've said one $1,200 benefit, direct payment, and then, well, we're just gonna compromise with Republicans and not do the $600 extension. What are you doing, guys? Do you want to lose? Apparently they do. But now, here's the other thing, right? So it is very possible that the Republicans have played this pretty well politically, from a political standpoint. Because what they've done is that they've delayed until, oh, look, we're basically at the point of crisis. Now everybody's running around with like a chicken with their head cut off. And so they did this, of course, by taking how many vacations? So far, I think two, maybe three, since the last coronavirus relief bill was passed. It was the HEROES Act, right? So, wait, that's a lot of vacation time. I would love to get vacation time like that. I can't even take a straight week off, right, for vacation. And these guys are taking what, like 2-month vacations. Ridiculous. And then, of course, they come back at the very last minute in order to force the Democrats, of course, to make concessions so that at least people get something. That's what it is. And the Democrats fall for it every single time. And they're okay with these vacations. In fact, they want to take these vacations too, because a lot of it is so that they can go and beg big donors for cash. And that's where a lot of these vacations are. But it's a disaster. But going back to the Republicans, right? They know what they're doing. Mitch McConnell, for example, laughed. He laughed literally at the possibility that nothing could get passed by the end of the week. Just laughed. Doesn't care. Doesn't care at all. Doesn't give a damn about you. If you don't get your unemployment back, doesn't affect him. Why? His donors already got the money. They already got it. They got their bailouts for the donors. They got money to put in their own pockets. That's it. They don't care. They have no idea about the suffering that they're going to cause, and they don't really give a shit about it. None at all. It's extremely clear what their policy priorities are, and it is not helping the American people. And you can see it reflected in the policies and the rhetoric that they put forward. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.